Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press, all Nigerian compatriots on social media, and our global partners. Through your efforts, the entire nation has been made aware of several warnings to the multifaceted war on Nigeria, further explained as the Fulanization and Islamization of Nigeria by the former president of Nigeria, Dr. Aremu Okikiola Olusegun Obasanjo, and supported by the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. Unfortunately, a group unknown to the Yoruba mainstream, calling itself Yoruba Ronu Leadership Forum, actually Yoruba Alainironu, meaning unthinking Yorubas, in echoing the news agency of Nigeria's publication of June 5, 2019, published its own admonition against the former president in an article published in the legit.ng's social media blog on the same day of Wednesday, June 5, 2019, titled, and I quote, "Obasanjo under fresh fire from Southwest over Fulanization and Islamization claim," end quote. The said Yoruba Ronu Leadership Forum claimed that former President Obasanjo, and I quote, is crying wolf when there is none, end quote. What? Really? This Yoruba Alainironu Leadership Forum assertion is not only misguided, mischievous, slanderous, and dangerous. It is also a roguish betrayal of the collective narrative and position of all non-Fulani Nigerians. Today, we draw your attention to the resolved efforts of the Fulanis on propagating the war on Nigeria and the collective non-Fulani counterpunch against the war. Part A. Part B will follow in a few days. For the clear avoidance of doubts on the war on Nigeria by the Fulani Jihadist terror network, let us first make three important statements. We want to state the absolute position on the war by the Fulani Jihadist terror militia as exemplified not just by their words only, but also by their actions. Then, we will ask President Muhammadu Buhari why Fulani, Makban, and other Fulani jihadist militia have not been labeled as terrorists and proscribed. Then, and finally, we will ask President Muhammadu Buhari where is the commensurate ruthless python dance which he unleashed against the Igbos, or the crocodile smile which he unleashed against the South-South and the riverine Southwest? Where is the government fury against Funam, ISWAP, Magban, and other Fulani jihadist militia? Where? The outstanding declaration of war by Funam against Nigeria. In a statement signed by Badu Salisu Amadu under the instruction of its national president, Umar Amir Shehu, the Fulani Nationality Movement, Funam, following its deliberation on the state of the nation in Kano on Saturday, January 13, 2018, more than a year ago. The context of the deliberation, which was calling the recent killings and national uproar sick, in quotes. The organization also distributed the summary of its deliberation as follows. A. Funam, as its excuses, claimed the following 7 main points. 1. That there are attacks on cattle by rustlers. 2. They claim that Fulani men and women in some parts of Nigeria are being kidnapped. They claim that Fulani traditional settlements in northern Nigeria and some parts of southern Nigeria are being displaced. They claim that there is ongoing stealing of properties belonging to Fulani cattle owners. 5th, they claim that the call for restructuring of Nigeria is irresponsible. Let me repeat that. They claim that the restructuring of Nigeria is irresponsible. 6th, they claim the plot to ensure that Fulani are pushed to the backbench in the power equation in Nigeria, and above all, they claim that the vicious campaign against the God-ordained place of Fulani as the leading star guide in Nigeria. They claim the vicious campaign that their God-ordained place of Fulani as the leading star guide in Nigeria is contrived. Now, let us look at the Fulani's contrived conclusion and their own solution strategy. And I quote, 1. We Fulani categorically approved of the killings in Benue of TVs as being well-deserved as a revenge attack on the series of onslaught on the Fulani, an attack which was most horrendous on November 17, 2017, when 30 Fulani men and women were killed in Nasarawa State. 2. We Fulani people noticed the recalcitrant culture of the TV people as demonstrated even during the 1804 jihad. Imagine referring to the beginnings of the jihad in 1804 by Uthman dan Fodio. So there is a connection. When the TV people obstructed our ordained conquest of Nigeria, we Funam condemned the media propaganda being waged against the Fulani and supported by Yorubas, Igbos, and their bigotry allies in the Middle Belt. We can see that from these statements, we know the objective and focused target of the Fulani war. It is mainly the Middle Belt and southern territories of Nigeria. Other areas affected, mainly the northeast and the northwest, are merely the collateral damage due to the long-standing Fulani oligarchs' oppression, as well as the weaponization of their own educationally denied children for political and economic gains. 4. We Funam are aware of plots by minority ethnic groups in the Middle Belt to attack Fulani settlements. Please pay attention to this next conclusion by Funam. We Funam have asked all Fulani across West Africa to raise money and arms to prosecute the oncoming war. We call on all Fulanis to prepare for this holy war. There is no going back. After which statement Funam diabolically claims that we are Nigerians. Can you imagine? After calling on all Fulanis across West Africa to raise money and arms to prosecute the war in Nigeria, now they claim we are all Nigerians and are free to settle anywhere we desire with our culture, our families, our commerce, and our values to the glory of Almighty Allah. 7. All over the world, please pay attention, Nigeria is the only country given to Fulani by God. So Nigeria, they claim, is the only country given to Fulani by their God. And 8, whether the federal government or state governments accept or not, we FUNAM have asked all Fulani herdsmen all over West Africa to move to Nigeria and penetrate every corner for the upcoming jihad. 9, important also, we have asked them to be armed, since it seems armed conflict is the only language that Nigeria understands. 10, the Fulani, if not for the British, would have actually conquered the entire Nigeria, which God has ordained as our dominion. 11, we oppose the anti-grazing laws which obstruct the ability of Fulani to move freely and stay anywhere in Nigeria, and that the cattle colony is the only solution to the crisis. And last but not the least, the 13th point is that any attempt to reverse these demands will be met with holy uprising never before seen in the history of Nigeria, and in the scale compared only with the 1804 jihad. We are ready for the worst and we are prepared for war. What a declaration of war. How can anyone deny that Fulanis have organized and mustered a war against non-Fulani Nigeria? Now, let us conclude on these Fulani assertions by linking their actions to their words. By their action, we shall know them. To highlight the commensurate and unambiguous actions to the declaration of war by the Fulani jihadist terrorists, please permit us to recount verbatim 2 well-circulated warnings to the Yorubas on social media. 1, Fulani jihadist terror unabated in Yoruba land. And I quote, "Our panic-stricken people called yesterday evening to inform us that the hordes of Fulani terrorists blocked Ibadan-Ife road for almost an hour with a brazen assurance that nothing and nobody could challenge them. The point of blockade was at Wasimi. Everyone knows that the forest reserve between Orile-Owu and Ijebu is one of the havens for these criminals. Yet, the Nigerian army with several cantonments dotting Oyo, Osun, and Ondo states cannot go there to flush them out because there has been no order from above. Zone 11 of the Nigerian police, headed by an Assistant Inspector General of Police, is situated in Osun. He has operational control over at least 3 PMF squadrons, including Squadron 4 and 39, based in Ibadan and Osogbo respectively. The Assistant Inspector General of Police cannot act because there has been no order from above. The people above who are to give orders appear to be deep in slumber. But why is that? Whenever the citizens show signs of discontent with government policies, the towns are flooded with security agencies. But when citizens' lives are imperiled, the security men are always ensconced in the comfort and safety of their barracks. Why? I do not want anyone to point to the heroic sacrifices of our soldiers in the Northeast. The politicians always give orders when an issue has become an international embarrassment, like we have in the Northeast. And when they send the soldiers, they procure and equip them with inferior and outdated weapons, so as to prolong the conflict and maximize profit from arms procurement. The point I labor to make is that it appears to me that the philosophical underpinnings of and the raison d'etre for the existence of security agents in Nigeria is for the protection of the government against the people and not for the protection of the people. How on earth could a handful of bandits block a very busy expressway for about an hour without the security agencies confronting and routing them? Like I said before, we need a referendum. Let me restate. We need a referendum. If Nigeria can no longer protect us, we need to decide what to do with it. Enough of this inertia. We are not only sick and tired of these inanities, we are also sick and tired of being sick and tired. Please, shelve the idea of traveling to Osun now unless it is absolutely necessary. We have also received reports that some armed terrorists have been seen inside the forest of Olomu in Osun. Olomu is in Ejigbo local government area, but it lies along Iwo Ogbagba Awo Road. It is a strategic reconnaissance point from which hostile forces can maneuver and move rapidly to block Iwo Osogbo Road, Iwo Ogbagba Iwo Awo Road, and Iwo Ejigbo Road. Number 2, Fulani herdsmen invasion. This is how I live on my farm. The personal account of a farmer. I quote, "We Yorubas and Nigerians as a whole have a problem," end quote. Continuing, outsiders see the problem, but we are largely in denial. Consequently, majority of us don't appreciate or understand the dimensions or depths of our Fulanization problems. The farmer continues, in December 2015, AK-47 carrying Fulani cattle herdsmen approached my Nigerian countryside property to within 200 yards of my patio and were coming undeterred. I fired a shotgun into the air, and the Fulani killer herdsman with the AK-47 stopped, crouched down, and cupped his ear to decipher what type of firearm I used. I found that strange. I changed to this very rifle and fired into the ground 50 yards from the patio. I now brought out a third firearm and was watching through the rifle scope. He communicated with a huge female black and huge cattle to move with others right into my farmland. When he was about 70 yards to my right, he was all the while watching in my patio direction. I shot the huge female cow in the belly and returned the rifle scope to this one crouched Fulani. He now brought the AK-47 out from under his tunic and his left shoulder and was about to shoulder it on his right shoulder. He got it there, looked at the shot cow and its others and returned it, and they all ran away. So this farmer, because he was armed, was able to show his firepower that drove the Fulani killer herdsmen away. I called the police to send a senior officer. My nephew had captured it all on film. When the police inspector arrived, we told him what had just transpired. What he told me was shocking. He said, 9 times they have arrested Fulani herdsmen with AK-47s, and each time they were instructed from Abuja headquarters to release them and return their AK-47 rifles to them. Thereafter that last incident, they brought their cattle again and deliberately stayed at 350 yards. I shot 2 standing side by side in the belly meaning 2 cows. They returned a few months later and stayed 400 years. I shot another 2 cows in the belly, and they set fire to the farm bush as they retreated. They, the Fulanis, dared me in increments of 50 yards, and the last time at 550 yards. I shot 2 huge cows standing side by side in the belly. In the afternoon one day, they pushed the 2 cows like a pushcart and went and informed the DPO, who told the Seriki in Sirekun Fulani that if they come to my farm and I shoot their cattle, there was nothing they could do. He warned the Fulanis that if they carry guns to my place, whatever happens, they are to blame. Since then, they never tried, and they stayed away from my premises. Now, this farmer said that he had noticed that over 60% of prison inmates in the area were Fulanis. How did I know? He continues. They don't speak Hausa. 2, their vaccination scars are on the left forearm, as against Nigerians who have theirs on their shoulders. And thirdly, most of them are Arab-looking. The farmer concludes, this is how I live in my own home. When I decided to retire to Africa, I wanted to go to Mozambique, but later decided on my home country, Nigeria. As an avid and global safari licensed hunter, I had to have my entire firearm collection licensed in Nigeria to help farmers hunt their crop-damaging elephants and buffaloes. Little did I know that one day I would have to use these firearms to save my own life. This bad behavior started in 2015, right after Buhari became president. Before then, the cattle Fulani asked us before grazing on our farms. On 3 occasions, their calves got stuck in the muddy swamp, and we had to take care of them until we located the farmers. This was how the farmers and the nomadic, unarmed Fulani men interacted before 2015. So we know what has instigated the current crisis. This will be continued in Part B of our press statement. Thank you.